Hey guys, it's Sarah. I have a book haul. Oh my gosh. I went a little crazy in December. Here's why. I had another crisis about how many unread books I have on my shelves. So more videos coming for that. But it's not stressing me out as much as it was last time. I think around this time last year, it was majorly stressing me out. It's stressing me out a little bit right now, but not to the point where I don't feel like I can get a handle on it. But I made some decisions about how I'm going to be handling books in 2020. And because of that, I was like, well, now I need to go get all the books. So that's what I did. Now, some of these, quite a bit of these actually are gifts or ARCs that were sent to me from publishers. So I do have a nice stack of books that were gifts, but then all the rest of them I bought. Some of them are from Amazon. Some of them are from thrifting. Some of them are from Book Outlet because I absolutely took advantage of the Black Friday sale this year. And yeah, so there's a lot to talk about. I'm not going to go into the synopsis of these. I'm just going to show them to you. If they were sent to me, I'll tell you from who, and we got to get through it a little bit quickly because it's going to be a long one. This first one was sent to me from Berkeley, and this one actually comes out January 7th, so pretty quickly here, but that is You Were There Too by Colleen Oakley. And I've heard about this one. I believe it's a contemporary that involves dreams somehow, and there are two people who meet. They're both married to other people, I think, but they end up having dreams about each other, and then they meet in real life. So it's something like that. Sounds pretty cute. It's not super high on my priorities as of, you know, like reading ARCs and stuff because it was sent to me unsolicited, but I will definitely keep this on my radar to read at some point because it sounds interesting. This next one was sent to me from a publisher called Shreve Williams, and I've been in contact with them quite a bit lately. They sent me some information on things, but they sent me this book called Hard Rain by Irma Ventnor, and this is actually a translated book, and it's translated by Elsa Silk, and this is the first book in a series from what I'm understanding, and I think there's a romance involved. It's set in East Africa. There's chaos and murder, and then it's a mystery as well, and I believe it follows a journalist. That's all I really know. That's all I'm gonna try to know going into it, but it sounds interesting for sure. So this will definitely be on my list to read for ARCs, and this comes out April 7th. So I have a while before I need to read this one, but start of a new series, I'm definitely interested in it. Next one was sent to me from Berkeley Publishing. This one comes out on February 4th, and that is Minor Dramas and Other Catastrophes by Kathleen West. And I believe this follows a school setting where it involves drama, but it's mostly with the parents of the school, and there's stuff happening between the parents and the teachers and the students and all that stuff. So it's supposed to be probably funny drama things happening around school settings because I'm in the midst of all that. I have two children who are in school. I have one middle schooler and one elementary schooler. So I have seen some parents. That has definitely been happening. So I think I'll enjoy this one. But this one, again, comes out February 4th. So this will be on my list to read for February. All right, so these next 4 books were sent to me by some of you guys. You guys were very generous. Very generous. And I was just shocked. And this first one came from Jackie, who has her own booktube channel, Evil Queen Books. I will leave her link down below if you guys want to check her out. She's lovely. She sent me Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, and she saw this on my wish list, and she was getting rid of her copy anyway, so she offered it to me, and I was like, absolutely, and we actually ended up doing a trade, so I sent her a book in return as well. But I am super, super excited to read this one. I cannot wait. This is an adult romance that is between the Prince of England and the President of the United States' son. There's a romance happening between those two. And I believe it's like an enemy to lovers trope as well, which I love. So I'm just heard absolutely nothing but good things about this book, and I really want to read it, so I will definitely be making this a priority in 2020. And she sent me a nice little sweet note, so I kept that in here too. But thank you, Jackie. This next one was a complete surprise. I was super shocked that this showed up on my door. This was actually sent to me at the end of November, and I got this one from Nicole, and this one is The Crowns Game by Evelyn Skye. It just showed up on my doorstep, and I was like, what is happening? She sent me the sweetest little note. It says, enjoy your gift, happy holidays. So thank you, Nicole. Thank you, thank you. I hope that you got my thank you. I did like the little Amazon send a thank you card thing, so I hope you got that. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. This, I believe, is a fantasy book, and it's inspired by Russia, from what I'm remembering, and there's like a game involved, which that's my jam. I love game competition, you know, trials, anything like that, and I've heard that's what this is. So I think this is a duology. I think there's a second book and then that's it. So I'm excited to give this first one a read and see what I think. So thank you, Nicole. Next one that I have here is from Terry, and I was shocked when this showed up. It was sitting waiting for me when I got home from our trip, and that is The Library Book, and this is by Susan Orlean. And this book, it's a hardcover. It is stunning. It is so pretty. I absolutely love it. I love just the printed hardcover books, and it feels like a old vintage leather almost. And okay. This is perfect for me because I am studying to be a librarian. So I've heard, you know, like library lovers and all that should read this book for sure. I can't remember if this is a nonfiction. I think it is. I think it's like a big love letter to libraries. That's what I've heard. So I really am excited to read this at some point. Maybe I will celebrate my graduation with this one when I do graduate with my degree. But she sent it my way as kind of like a almost Secret Santa type thing. So Terry, thank you. Thank you so much. And the last one that I got for a gift was a complete surprise. This is from Hulda, and she sent me a little note that says, "This one's a must read. Merry Christmas." She sent me Misery by Stephen King. I am so excited to read this one. This is one that is, you know, when I think of Stephen King, it's one of his more popular books, and, you know, it was a movie that was very popular as well. So I would love to read this book and then watch the movie at some point. And this one just, I'm so excited for it because it does follow an author and then a fan of his who does not agree with where his story is going or the way he wrote one of his books, and so she kidnaps him and forces him to change the ending and tortures him. Yeah, so I am down for that. So to everybody who sent me things, thank you, thank you. I've already yelled at you. And to the publishers who sent me ARCs, thank you, thank you. I'm excited to read them. And now we're going to get into the books that I bought myself. Okay, so a few different places that I bought books. We'll start with Amazon. These are books that I paid not full price for. You don't pay full price on Amazon, but I paid the Amazon prices for them. So some people could consider that almost full price. First is a pre-order, and that is Children of Virtue and Vengeance. This one was supposed to come out in March, and it came out in December. There was a couple different release dates for this one just because it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. I think it got pushed back 2 times, but it's finally in my hands, and I am so excited for this. I absolutely loved the first book. I read that one with Lindsay, and we talked about reading this one together as well, so maybe we'll need to do that here soon. But young adult fantasy, again, was obsessed with the first one, absolutely loved it, so I'm excited to get into this one as well. The next one I got is a book that has been on my radar for quite a while, and I finally just pulled the plug and bought myself a copy, and that is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This one I know is set in Alaska, and it is a romance, and I've heard incredibly amazing things about it. People started talking about it probably about a year ago, and it kind of popped up on my radar, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of good. And then like just so many people have been reading it, still reading it, and just raving about it and favorite romance and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I went ahead and just bought myself a copy. And one from Amazon that I got, okay, I hesitated on this one because it's the conclusion to a trilogy. I have the first 2 books in paperback. This one just came out, and it's hardcover. So I am trying to get over the fact that not all of my series on my shelves have to match. It's okay. It's okay if I have, you know, starting with paperbacks and then get into hardbacks. I'm doing that with Sarah J. Maas right now. I have a couple on hardbacks, and just, it's fine. The books are the same on the inside. They're the same. They don't change. Everything's fine. Get over yourself, Sarah. Okay. I don't want to put off books that I really, really want to read because I want to wait for a matching set, is what I'm trying to say. So I got The Toll by Neil Shusterman. Ooh, so I haven't read the second book yet. I still need to read Thunderhead, but I know I'm going to read it soon because I really, really want to finish this trilogy. I loved Scythe so much. It was one of my favorites of the year, and I just can't wait to read the other 2. And I have heard that book 2 leaves off on a really big cliffhanger, so now I don't have to wait because I have the third book. So I can finish book 2 and then jump right into book 3 and finish off the trilogy. And heard amazing things about this entire thing. I'm super excited. This one is huge. It's a big one, but that makes me more excited. Okay, these 2 books I got when I went on a trip to Tallahassee recently in the beginning of December. We went to this really huge craft fair or market, if you will. And while we were in Tallahassee, we ate lunch at a really cute cafe, and upstairs was an independent bookstore. So of course I was sneaking upstairs to go and look, and I bought 2 books. So the first one is a book that I've been wanting for a while. It's also one that Kaylin wants to read, so it's kind of a dual purpose thing, but that is Pages & Co., The Book Wanderers. This is by Anna James, and this one follows a girl, I believe her name is Tilly. I'm gonna double check. I'm pretty sure her name is Tilly. Yes, Tilly Pages. And she discovers that she can actually enter into books, and then she ends up meeting characters from that book. So like Alice in Wonderland, Anne of Green Gables, things like that. And then she goes on these adventures with them. So it's definitely something that I've heard really good things about. And again, Kaylin wants to read it as well. It's pretty short, so I think maybe for middle grade March, I'm going to end up picking this one up. But this is so cute. The end papers are so adorable, and yeah, I'm excited about this one. And then as I was looking around, I, was planning just to buy that one, but then I saw this one and went, oh yeah, that's The Fountains of Silence. This is by Ruta Sepetys, who is one of my favorite authors. Like, every book I've read from her so far has been 5 stars, so I'm excited to get to this one. And it's a signed copy. So I grabbed it because, signed copy. And one of my favorite authors, yes please. And this is one that I've been wanting to get my hands on. I just hadn't bought it yet. So this one is also a big one. It's a big one, but it follows the Spanish War. And I'm sure it follows some aspects of it that we don't really hear that much about, because that is what Ruta Sepetys is known for. She does so much research into her book. She doesn't crank them out like a book a year or anything. She does her research, and it takes her a couple years to write a book, which I really appreciate because it makes them that much better. And yeah, so I'm excited about this one for sure. So while we were in Tallahassee, there is a used bookstore there that I have been to before, so I knew I wanted to make a stop while we were over there and just kind of see what they had there. And it's one of those stores that's huge, and I could spend hours in there. I didn't have hours, so I was I was very good about just grabbing a couple things that I knew I wanted. The first one is Red Hill. This is written by Jamie McGuire, and I have heard Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library talk about this one, and I believe this is a zombie book, and she said it was a zombie book that she actually really enjoyed, and she doesn't normally gravitate towards that thing. Zombies are something that I could see myself getting into a little bit more, or just giving something a try and reading a zombie book and see what I think. So I think this would be a good one to do, and it's not very long, so I think it's something I can get through quickly, but I just remember Lindsay talking about it, and then when I saw it, I went ahead and grabbed it. I also grabbed A Column of Fire by Ken Follett. Now this one is the 3rd book in the Pillars of the Earth trilogy. I don't remember what that's called. Kingsbridge? Yeah, Kingsbridge trilogy. I have read the first 2 books, The Pillars of the Earth and World Without End. I had to double check. They're up here on my top shelf here. But I didn't have book 3. And so when I saw it used, I was like, absolutely, it's a really good condition, and it's, it matches my other ones, the big floppy paperback. So I definitely plan to read this and finish up this trilogy. But I'm excited because I really love the first 2. And the last one that I picked up is The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. And this is an author that I want to read more from. She wrote one of my favorite books of all time, which is Redeeming Love. That is like top 5 for me. So this is one of her newer releases. This might be her newest release actually, and it's been one that's been on my wish list, and I cannot even handle the cover. It is so beautiful with the feathers and stuff. And so this is one I knew I wanted to pick up and read at some point. So when I found it used, I definitely grabbed it. And now we're going to get into some thrifted books. I found a couple books at thrift stores and stuff. This first one, I just found it yesterday, and we went to a church consignment store. So it's a consignment store run by a church here, and they have like good stuff for really ridiculous prices, and they do have a book section, so every once in a while I'll pop in there and go grab something. And so yesterday I went with my mom, and I was looking through the books, and I saw this and I went, are you kidding me? This just came out, American Royals by Catherine McGee. and it's got sprayed edges, sprayed pink edges. This is actually a UK edition here, and this is one that's been getting a lot of buzz because it just came out. People are reading it and really, really liking it. And this is the concept of the United States, but without a presidential system. It has a royal family system the way that the UK does. So it's like royalty, but in the United States, and how that would look and everything. And I've heard really, really good things about it. I got this for 25 cents, guys. 25 cents. Yeah. And then I went to Goodwill one day and found a couple of books. The first one is The Distant Hours. This is by Kate Morton. This is one Kate Morton book that I didn't have yet, and I think I have so many Kate Morton books, you guys. I might have all of them. I just might. So I need to get on this because I have not yet read a Kate Morton book, but I'm pretty positive I have all of them, and I'm so sure that I'm going to enjoy her books that I have all of her books now. So, oh no, I don't have The Clockmaker's Daughter. That's the one that I don't have, but everything else I think I do. So, yeah. Also at Goodwill, this is another instance of I don't care if it doesn't match the other books in my series because I have them all in paperback, and this one will be hardcover. But I got Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This was the only book in the Lunar Chronicles collection that I did not have. I have everything else. I have all 4 main books. I have the Fairest novella, and now I have this one. So I am 1000% ready to read the Lunar Chronicles. I have everything on my shelves, no excuses. These are novellas that are set after the events of Winter, so it's a continuation, and they're little novellas of what happens with all the characters from what I'm understanding. And yeah, so no excuses. And then I found 2 books at Books A Million on their bargain tables that I said, oh my gosh, this is perfect. One of them finishes up a series for me, and then the other one is like book 4 of a series, but it's continuing still, but it is the most recent release. So first one, Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Now, this is the last book in the Throne of Glass series, which I am still currently reading my way through. Another instance of I have all paperbacks up to Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn I have on hardcover. This one I have in hardcover. So the last 2 books in the series are both in hardcover, and everything else is in paperback. And I'm fine with that, because then it goes on to my other Sarah J. Maas books, which is the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and those are all in hardcover. So it looks nice on my shelf. I'm not like freaking out about that. But this is the last one that I needed. It was $5.97. Went ahead and grabbed it. And the other one that I found was Lethal White by Robert Galbraith. J.K. Rowling. This one was $7.97, so a couple more dollars, but oh my gosh, this thing is huge. I did not realize how big of a book this is, but this is book number 4 in the Comoran Strike series, so I now have all 4 books in hardcover of this series, and I have not read a single one. So that's going to change in 2020. Okay, book outlet time. I got a big box, y'all. I got a big box. So let's go through it quickly, and it'll be like it never happened. I got a lot of books that are part of series. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to. Very excited. All right, so the first one is Force of Nature by Jane Harper. This book follows her first book, The Dry, which I do have in hardcover as well, and I have not read that one yet. But this one, I don't think it's a direct sequel, but it does feature a character from The Dry from what I'm understanding, but I don't think it's like a direct sequel to it. It's more of a companion from what I'm understanding. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me, please. But I have heard very good things about The Dry, and then heard really good things about this one as well. So I do want to read both of those books, and now I have number 2. Then I got 2 books that finish out a series that are on my shelves, and that is the Fallen Kingdom series. So I have Crystal Storm and Immortal Reign. These are both by Morgan Rhodes. So books 5 and book 6 in the Fallen Kingdom series. I now have the entire series on my shelves, guys. Have I read any of them? Nope. Another one that is a good follow-up in a series, and that is Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J. Maas. This is part of the DC Icons series. Now they have Superman up in there too. They didn't have it when I bought my box, and I was like, oh, and then it showed up like a couple days later. I went, really? So that's the only one I would need to finish off this series. There's only 4 in the series. I do already have Wonder Woman and Batman. I've read Wonder Woman, really loved it. I have Batman. Still need to read it. Now I have Catwoman, and then I just need Superman. But I definitely want to read all of them because they're a ton of fun, and I love superhero stuff. I love DC and Marvel and all that stuff. So this will be a good time, and Sarah J. Maas is one of my favorites. Another one that is the latest in a series that I really want to catch up on is A Reaper at the Gates by Sapa Tahir. Now this one, like, I just went ahead and grabbed it because I have the first two in these covers in paperback, and I was waiting for this one to come out in paperback, and it's not coming out in paperback. The only paperback I can find is the UK cover. So I got impatient and I was like, you know what? It's on Book Outlet, hardcover. It's fine. It's fine. So I went ahead and grabbed it. But I was completely obsessed with A Number in the Ashes when I read it this year. So definitely want to read the others. And now I have number 3, and I believe there's a 4th one coming out at some point, but I haven't heard any news about it yet. And the finale to a trilogy that I'm a little nervous about, but I'm gonna read it. And that's Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is book number 3 in the Caraval series. I loved Caraval. That was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. The second book, Legendary, was good. It definitely was not as good as Caraval. I think I maybe gave it a 4 stars. Probably could have been more of a 3, to be honest. So this one makes me nervous because I'm hearing this one just goes a little bit more downhill. So I'm a little nervous about it, but I can't not finish it. I really just can't. Just because I loved Caraval so much, and I love the concept of this. So I definitely plan to finish it, and I went ahead and grabbed this while it was very cheap. But I'm a little bit nervous. And then I grabbed 2 books in a series that I, again, have not started yet, but I have all of the books that are out right now after this. So I got Blood Witch and Sight Witch, and these are part of the Truth Witch series by Susan Dennard. This, I believe, is book 3. This is a novella that's in between 2 of the books. So this one is definitely shorter, but I've heard very good things about this series. And again, now I have them all, and now I need to read them. The last one that I have that is part of a series, I have, okay, I have the first book in the series, and now I have the 6th book in the series, but that's the only one that was available. So I just went ahead and grabbed it. That is Keeper of the Lost Cities. This is Nightfall, and again, this is book number 6. So I have book number 1 and book number 6. So I have a few to get in between, but I believe that this is a series that I'm gonna love and that my daughter Kaylin will love as well. She has expressed her interest in reading them too. So it's definitely a dual purpose for this one too. So I figured, you know, I would get it while it was really cheap. This is a really big book, but it's a series that I really do want to get into. So anytime I see them for super cheap, I'm just going to pick them up, and we will get started on them when we can. Okay, that is it for series that I purchased just to kind of finish up some series or to continue on with some series on my shelves. Now all the rest of these are standalones. The first one that I put in my cart for the sale is Middle Game by Shauna McGuire. I have wanted to read this for a very long time, since it first came out and since I first started hearing about it. And I haven't read anything by Shauna McGuire yet at all, like nothing. But this one definitely sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. It's a big book. I was surprised at how big it was when it showed up. But I'm very interested in this one, so I'm excited. I also grabbed a few books from the same author because it's an author who has become one of my favorites, and I want to read everything that she writes. And I literally put everything that I haven't read yet that's in my that was available on Book Outlet in my cart is what I did. So that is Claire Legrand. So the first one I put in there is Winter Spell. This is a young adult, and I believe it's kind of a witchy book from what I'm understanding. I think it's actually a Nutcracker retelling, from what I've heard. So that's kind of cool. Maybe I can read this over Christmas next year or something. I think that would probably be a good idea. But yeah, it's a decent size, but again, Claire Legrand, I've given 5 stars to every single one of her books that I've read. And I think I've read 3 of them now. So yeah. Also by Claire Legrand, I got The Year of Shadows. And this one is, gosh, I don't know. I believe it's a middle grade. So that's the thing. This is signed. Are you kidding me? You guys, look, it's signed. I didn't even know that when I bought it. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh. I'm having a moment. Hang on. Well, that's a nice surprise. Thank you, Book Outlet. I had no clue this was signed. That is amazing. Okay, back on track. Claire Legrand is a librarian, which is kind of like a little fun fact, but in her like everyday job. She's a librarian, and I'm sure that's where she came up with some of her concepts for her books. But she writes across the spectrum. She has written some young adult fantasy, which I really love. She wrote Furyborn, and I definitely plan to read Kingsbane soon. And she wrote Sawkill Girls, which was one of my favorite books of this year, and that's kind of a horror book more than anything. It is young adult as well. And she wrote Foxheart, which is a middle grade, which I really loved. This is middle grade. The one I just showed you was YA, and then this one here is also middle grade. This is Some Kind of Happiness. So she definitely writes for a younger audience. I don't believe that she's written any adult books from what I can tell, but if she ever does, I'm all over it. But again, I have just loved all of her books so far, and so anytime I come across one of hers that I don't have yet, I'm going to add it to my shelves. And now I'm going to have to check all of my Book Outlet books to see what's signed and what's not, because I've gotten some signed books from them without knowing it was signed when it came to me. One of my Chris Colfer books is signed, and you know, just I've gotten some random ones that were signed that like there was no indication of that. Okay. Speaking of libraries, this next one is set in a library, or features a library. Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This was definitely on my radar because it does feature a magical library. This is a young adult fantasy book, and I'm very excited about it. I've heard very good things about this book, so I'm very interested in giving this one a try. But from what I'm remembering of the synopsis that people are talking about, this features a library that can kind of come to life, or the books can come to life, or the books can guide you somehow. So yes, please. The next one I grabbed is from an author that I have read this year and really enjoyed, and I want to read more from her, and that's Amy Engel, and this is the Roanoke Girls. And I'm pretty positive this one is really messed up, like really messed up. So I'm here for it. Okay, so another author that I'm collecting and haven't read yet, Megan Miranda. Have not read a single Megan Miranda book yet, but I probably have 4 or 5 of her books right now because I'm convinced that I'm going to really enjoy her. This is The Safest Lies. I got this for, I think I got this for $1 something. It was ridiculously cheap, so no regrets on this one. And this next one I got, it has been on my radar for quite a while because I remember Lisa from Books and Smiles could not stop talking about this book. It became one of her favorites of all time, definitely one of her favorites of the year that she read it, and that is Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. And this sounds really interesting. It follows a young girl who I believe is writing letters to her mother or grandmother or someone who has passed away, so she leaves letters on her grave. And then there is a boy who is working or doing volunteer hours or something at the graveyard. He finds the letters and then he starts answering them, and they start corresponding that way, and then I'm sure they meet up. But I've heard, again, really great things, not only from Lisa but from a lot of other people too who have read this book and really loved it, so I think it's something I would really like. Now this next one I took a chance on, and it's just one that I saw. I'd never heard of it before, never heard of this author, but it features an event in our history that I want to read more about, like more books that feature this, and that is Towers Falling, and this is from Jewel Parker Rhodes, and this follows the events of September 11th. Now this, I believe, I want to say this is, I don't know if it's middle grade or if it's young adult. It might be young adult, but it's definitely, you know, it looks like it's middle grade maybe. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening, but I believe this follows school kids, so it's got to be something like that. And it's very short, as you can see, but I'm definitely interested in this one. She also has, this author has also written a book called Ninth Ward, which follows, I believe, the Hurricane Katrina events, because the Ninth Ward is in New Orleans, and that was a big news. That was a big news clip when all that stuff was happening about what was happening in there. So yeah, I grabbed this one because it just, you know, I really want to read more about September 11th, and, you know, even fiction that follows the timeline and all that stuff that has that as an aspect of it. So grab that one. This next one I got from an author who I read for the first time this year and loved the book that I read, so I definitely want to read more from him. I do have more on my shelves from him. I think I have at least one other book, and it's an adult book. This one I think is a young adult, but this is The Boy at the Top of the Mountain by John Boyne, and I read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and I think this kind of is very similar in feel. I don't think it's like related to it or anything, but it might be kind of like a little series of young kids that are involved in World War II some way, somehow, and it's kind of through their eyes. And it's a very different perspective because they're children. They don't understand what's happening around them. We do know what was happening around them because we know the history of it. But at the time, they had no clue what was going on. So I was very excited to see this on Book Outlet because this has been one that's been on my radar for a while. And especially after reading Boy in the Striped Pajamas a couple months ago, like I definitely want to jump into more of him. And last, but most certainly not least, my favorite Half Nightstand by Christina Lauren. I am collecting all their books. This might be it. I think I might have all their books now. I'm pretty positive I do. All their standalones, at least. I don't have the series, but I have the first one on my Kindle. But as far as their standalones and their romances go, this is the last one I think that I needed, and now I have them all. So I'm so excited to dive in because, again, discovered this writing duo this year. I have read, I think, 3 of their books now and given all of them 5 stars, and I want to read everything that they write because it's fantastic. I eat it up. It's so good. So this is going to be another like romantic comedy type thing, and yeah, I just can't wait. Okay guys, that's it. I'm sweating. Oh my gosh, that was so much. Okay, so that's it. No more book hauls for me for 2019. Like, that's it. No more book hauls are coming. I do have a different way I'm going to be handling book buying in 2020. It's a whole thing. I'm still working it out in my head. So you're probably not going to see anything about it until 2020, like in January. I think is probably when I'm going to start really like talking about it and letting you know what's going to be happening, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything and figure out exactly what I want to do and figure out what's going to work for me realistically, because I don't want to put something out there that I'm just going to fail at. So I'm making sure it's something that I think I can actually handle. But that will be coming up in January for sure. So until then, no more book hauls for me. I'm good. I'm good, you guys. I'm beyond good on books. But I am excited for all these. And a lot of these books that are part of series, I'm really hoping to actually get to in 2020. That's going to be another focus. Okay, I'm going to go before I just like tell you everything. So let's just cut it off, Sarah. Shut your mouth. All right, guys. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if there are any of these books I should move up and read like really, really soon. Let me know that too. And I will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day.